I'm not going to talk too much except just get into the presentation and see how it goes. I don't know if many people have been at a presentation. I've never given a presentation, but I do know the advice I've been given. If you just let me go through it and if there's questions, we'll ask them at the end. And if there is something someone's really stuck on, I'll stop at a point that we'll move on from there. But I'll try and get through it as best as I can. So this is I suppose how we got on bunreaćt and how we got to where we are now, how it all began. And this is our story and this is our truth. So at that time we'll take it away. Are we right with the bike? Just maybe lower it down a little bit. So I suppose this presentation is out to people who have a little bit of knowledge or some that won't at all. So why should you be familiar with bunreaćt? Do you believe that the current political and legal system is working against the people of Ireland's best interest? Does the lengthened list of stealth taxes and fines strike you as unfair? Do you think there is an undue influence from foreign unelected organisations, example EU, UN, NATO, WHO, WEF and UK, who are dictating our world? How do you implement your constitutional rights to sidestep government overreach? Are you prepared to learn and implement your rights as an Irish national and live freely? Yes. Who is this presentation for? For you. I didn't come here to take anything from anybody, but we're going to give it. It's yours if you want it. This is for you. If you are awakening to the tyranny that has crept onto our island, you realise that there is something off with many laws, acts, mandates that our government agencies have passed over the past few years, and you want to know how much of it you have to comply with, such as restrictions on travel, freedom of movement, mandates of bodily choices, denied right to assembly peacefully, discrimination against questionnaires, loss of freedom of speech, up and coming hate speech legislation, and stealth taxes. How much of it is actually lawful? What will the next batch of legislation entail? And what other rights will be withdrawn? So the outline of this presentation goes as follows. The importance of our 1937 Constitution, known as bunreaćt, and how it got subverted, and your rights along with it, your born free status. What is bunreaćt? Overview of the key articles, using bunreaćt to live outside government overreach. Why we must claim this Constitution now, and spreading the knowledge and pointing you towards further resources. So this is what the presentation layout is going to go like. Hopefully we'll do it justice. So what is an Irish citizen and what is an Irish national? Just before we move on from that one, sorry. So we can look at citizen, it's dead entity corporation. That's the government of Ireland, the Kingdom of Ireland flag that they're working and operating under. And as an Irish national, you're a living man and woman. And the flag, whether you like it or not, it's green, white and orange. It's a national flag. It's constitutionally protected. So we move on to just have a quick look at citizen. Your contract with corporations as our fictional dead entity, i.e. your birth certificate and other documents. I won't go through reading all of this, but you look at corporation, dead body, artificial person created by law. So it was all created by their laws. So that's what a citizen is. So we're going to talk a little bit about the journey of how naturally we got here. The journey from your born free national to a trustee, and this is how you get incorporated. You become a national, which is like a beneficiary of something, and then you get incorporated as a trustee of the state. So you're either a national beneficiary or a citizen. So you're born, we're all created, naturally created from God, a God of your understanding, wherever it may be, it all is nature, fact. You're born right, and then from the 5D sort of level down into born, you move over to be born into a nation. It doesn't matter what island or what part of the world you're born into, what religion you believe in. The fact is, if you're born into the territory of Era, you're an Irish national. And you have a national constitution. And it's Article 1, the nation. It's the most important, in my opinion, to understand the capacity of being an Irish national. That's first and foremost. Before you even look at the constitution, you need to understand that fact. What happens when you're born into the nation? You get a birth certificate. It usually happens a few days or weeks or up to a month after that. And you see on the dates, it's probably not that clear on this screen, is you have a birth date, you have the parents, mother, father, and then you have an informant who signed you and registered you. That's where you become a citizen. That's where your PPSN number is created. And this is how this is a picture of a taxman pulling you upside down and shaking the money out of you. But that's the system, and that's all worked out. So you become a slave into that system. But constitutionally right, we have a right to claim nationality. Even as a person, every man and woman has. So we're going to, I mean, this is not completely changing your whole life, this presentation, but to understand the capacity to give you those choices. So we'll move on from there, Tom. Thanks, that's enough for birth certificate. We'll just have a quick look at it. There it is on the screen. I don't know whose birth certificate this is. But you become your date of birth, it's all here. The date and time, and then you get registered. There is a registration number that we're trying to get challenged at the moment. That registration, the state won't allow anybody into it, but I believe that's where all the documents are. But this is where you claim back your birth certificate. This is where the trust was set up. But it's like the vaccines at the moment. There was no informed consent. Nobody in this room could say they really knew what they were doing when they were signing their children over to be citizens of a system through the birth certificate. You weren't given the information. I'm sure everywhere you would have said no. How we got into this corporate world of slavery. You were born free as an Irish national and a beneficiary of the state era. Your birth certificate was registered on the Internal Revenue Service's IRS in the USA. I have all the proof and documents, that's where it's all registered over there. Your PPSN number is your trust number held in the US National Treasury. And you'll find both the US National Treasury and the IRS are in the same building in New Jersey in America. This is where your trust is held, with you as a trustee, with your all caps name. In this process you become dead at sea and a commercial entity, i.e. a citizen. You generate fines, taxes and credits as a debtor held by the IRS. And you see big things going on in America at the moment. The new Republican Senate, let's say, over there, are looking for an investigation into the IRS at the moment, which is big news in America. But we move on. The Crown Administration administrates the legislation to generate fines, etc., through the courts. You're being governed with statutes, acts and legislation written into Roman civil procedure at the whims of your government. Roman civil procedures, all the writings and the documents that they write to you in, and it's all to do with the wordplay and stuff. So when you separate yourself from the national capacity, you have the choice to either contract with them or not. But the big thing is Roman civil procedure, and it's text and grammar that they write on the pages. So we move on to this. Just before I do move on to further, is there something somebody is stuck on to stop me moving on? Really important? No? Okay, thanks. The importance of our only true constitution on bunreaćt, 1937, and how it got subverted. Do you recognise this book?
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of political parties and you know, pro-communism, EU people trying to show this book around. People are more aware of it now, which is a good thing, because it's a challenge that we can now show. So we all recognise that. So here we have, as Mark was shown earlier, the 1937 Constitution, which if you Google Wikipedia, fraud is, they show a picture of the 1948. That's 1942. Inside the first page of the 1942 Constitution, it says this. This text of the Constitution is a copy of the text enrolled on the 29th of December 1937, pursuant to Article 25.5.2, except that. It actually says that on the very first page of this incorporated constitution, and I'll go through the thing and will tell you how we got there. But that's what it says in there. The transitionary provisions, Article 51 to 63, are omitted as required by their terms. The Irish text has been altered so as to make it conform to modern standardised Irish and thereby changing the true meaning. December 1999 edition, that one there is. I'll have a quick read for this here just for you to let me read over it. The title of this article, this is an article done by Richard J. Humphreys, and it just exposes the fact that the language is a little bit different. The title of this article was prompted by the remarkable fact that the draft constitution approved by Dáil Éireann, not Dead Dáil, the text enrolled in the office of the Registrar of the Supreme Court, and the edition published by the Statutory Office exhibited a wide range of textual differences, not what's that word? Attributable to the former process of constitution amendment. This article purposes to examination the nature and significance of those differences, and to discuss the relevant statute and completing text. So he done a big write-up on it, but there's people looking at it. That's the reason we put that there, and have been for years. So there's the three different constitutions. This is the constitution. This is the one we got under emergency wartime measures, which we think are operating under now, and that was the Republic of Ireland Act 1948. So the First Amendment is what we're saying is the fraud, and it's the First Amendment is what we think they're operating out of now, and they're trying to remove Article 1. So we'll move on from there, because we'll talk about this blue book a little bit. This 1942 Constitution of Ireland is commonly known as the Blue Book. This is not the Irish Constitution. It is for persons, citizens. It relates to this 26 county dominion only. And it's for doing commerce. So it's for businesses only. That's why you have to do the all caps name to operate out of it. It was enacted in 1942 under wartime measures. The First Amendment changed the definition of war so that the Irish government could implement wartime measures and apply this constitution even though Éire was not at war. It has not been approved by the people by referendum as pursuant to the constitution, as required by the constitution. So it shows that they changed the meaning of wartime measures and then brought this without a referendum, and we have to have change by referendum. It's all, this constitution was given to us by the people, and it's ours to make those changes and vote on them. This is not the rule of law. However, it is a working definition of the rule of law because it's accepted by the majority. And we are them people. We've been accepting this. It is derived from the Irish Constitution, whereas we've been accepting this all our lives, and so have our parents and probably some of their parents before them. So it's up to us to say no to this now. Your born free status, capacity as an Irish national and a beneficiary in the state. In the state here. That's where we are, whether you like it or not. We're in the state, and the name of the state is Éire. And the truth is, the corporate entity is not you. You have been living in a fiction that is only true if you live like it is. You have been schooled and programmed to believe you did not have a choice but to obey your government and make them rich. In reality, you are not a PPSN number, you're not a licence, a passport, simply a generator of taxes and fines, a servant to the state. The reality is the government and civil servants are here to serve you. Michael D. Higgins, recalling your factual sentence as a beneficiary of Éire. Again, you're born. So what we need to do is claim that right back to your national born identity. Article 1, Irish national. There's the baby growing up. I am still that baby who was born. Everything else was given to me through my birth certificate. Now I'm realising that's not me. Even if I hold my driving licence and I get pulled in the side of the road, and I don't hold it, but if I did, and the guard asked me to show me the licence and I showed it to him, and he'd ask me, is that me? I'd say, no, it's not me, it's a driving licence. You asked me for that. But is it you? No, it's not me, it's a driving. So you can, even at that level, you can separate yourself It's probably not a good idea, but if you can't do it, because they're too stupid to understand it, so don't give it to them. But it is that simple. Like, if that piece of plastic is in me, when I was in court recently, the judge was trying to issue a fine, and I had in my affidavit, if he wanted to issue a fine, he could do so to the driving licence. So we were arguing the points, and there was no evidence there, and he goes, well, I'm going to issue a fine anyway. And I said, well, who are you going to issue the fine to? And he goes, to the licence. And he said, to the licence, Mr. Green Suit Man. I said, thank you very much, Judge. Go ahead, do what you have to do. So basically, we have all our supposed to be public servants, but they're civil servants at the moment because everything's in civil and they're trained and programmed and indoctrinated people, but they are there to serve us. The state and public servants and laws are all put in place to benefit you. Does anybody feel like they benefit you? Not at the moment, not me anyway. But all those people in there, and all us working in them environments, and all us operating in there, we're all in there as that all caps name, and everyone is being caught into it. But it's not actually you. It's that simple. But then you need to know who you are. And if you accept you're an Irish national, well then at least you've landed on Article 1. So we'll move on from there. Thanks, Tom. Bunreaćt. What is Bunreaćt 1937? And how does it differ from the 1942 Blue Book Constitution? The 1937 Constitution is the only constitution enrolled in the office of the Irish Supreme Court. It is a lawful document for all Irish nationals in the territory era to live together in harmony. It's a lawful and legal rule book for governments. Once we're Article 1, the rest is rules for them. Once we're not doing anything breaking a law under God, the rest is just their rules. It is a document that gives you a status as an Irish national. You are a beneficiary of a sovereign, independent, democratic state era. Article 1. I'll just keep talking about Article 1 all night because that's really, in my understanding, what you need to get. Your native language is Gaelic. Gaelic, written in Clo-Gaelic, text Article 8 to 63, and we go through those articles. I know I said that one wrong, someone correct me. Gaelic. And written in Clo-Gaelic, so it's Irish written in Clo-Gaelic. That's the text of the actual writings of our language. Here we have the beautiful book, the Irish Constitution. And we'll talk, because it's massive, Article 63. What we have up here is Micheál O'Coole's literal interpretation, which is the government official translated. He done that for them. But what he did was, he didn't do it like what Polly did, but what he did was he just translated word for word and moved it over, so it reads a little bit different. But we're going to do it now for official purposes, just to go through it that way. And it reads like this, Article 63. A copy of this Constitution signed by the Taoiseach, the Chief Justice and the Chairman of Dáil Éireann must be enrolled for record in the office of the Registrar of the Supreme Court. And such signed copy is conclusive evidence of the provisions of this Constitution. In case the Irish text and the Saxon English text are not consistent with each other, it is the Irish text that will have supremacy. It's a massive word. It's supremacy over anything in the courts. So they haven't enrolled anything in Clo-Gaelic in the courts, then it's not a law against an Irish national when you're in that capacity. So you need to get in it first and foremost. There is a link here for that. He done 50 articles. He didn't do the last 63. This is Micheál O'Coole. So anyone afterwards, we send you that link or something. But it'll be on the presentation, and I'm sure the presentation will be on the website and everything, wherever. So we'll have a look at that for yourselves, because it's the full 50 articles officially translated. So here we have Oscail. Oscail has supremacy, as pursuant to Article 63 that we just read. Okay, supremacy, remember that word. Oscail is the Irish language, and Clo-Gaelic, Irish font. Clo-Gaelic removed from the Constitution 1942, removing the Irish text. Clo-Gaelic removed from the schools, Irish schools, in 1945, spelling reform. Gaelic is the national official principal language, Article 8.1. We'll go through some of these articles as we go along. Gaelic can be omitted for business purposes only, not law. That's what I mean. That's why they had to get you into your birth certificate. And this all happened in the late, it started in the 40s up to 45 in the Federal Reserve Bank system, and that's when it moved over to the IRS in America, and that's how you're indoctrinated into that all caps. And Mark always says it's ASL, American Sign Language, so it's all linked, and that's how you have you in there as a business, as a corporation, as a citizen. Article 8, so we'll go through the article and their interpretation of it. When he done that, I'll just briefly say this, because when he done his translation from the Clodalic 50 articles that he done, Article 1 to 50, in his write-up, and you see it in there, he says something like 42 of the articles were completely different and 8 of them were slightly different. That's the government official interpretation of our constitution. As the Irish language, the national language, is the principal official language, the English tongue is accepted as another official language, which is just accepted as a second language. But look at the word principal. This is our principal official language. The word principal is nowhere in the English. It just says it's the second official language. This is the first principal official language. But provisions may be made for law for either of those two languages to be a single language for any official businesses or business throughout the whole state or any part of it. So the only way that they can issue a fine or write to you with anything, if you ask for that in your national language, the only way you can use one language on its own is for business. So when you're being done as a living man or woman, they can't put business on you once you know your capacity. And Article 8, it's there. So this was some of the provisions that allowed them to omit our language, but the Blue Book is only for business only, and that article proves it. Thanks, Tom. So here we have a little bit of a timeline. I'll just quickly read across it, and we won't talk about each individual type thing, because each one of these could have a presentation on their own. So the year, where we are, and the incorporated version of this. In the 1800s, the Act of Union, United Kingdom of Great Britain and the Kingdom of Ireland. In 1916, the Easter Proclamation, the Irish Republic proclaimed a nation. 1918, the national election, Sinn Féin majority. Everyone knows about that. 1919, the Declaration of Independence. The first Dáil declared the Irish Republic. Look at the word proclaimed, declared. You see other countries around the world only declaring independence now. We done that. 1919, we declared it. 1920, the Government of Ireland Act. Era partitioned into Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland. 1921, the Anglo-Irish Treaty allowed for the Irish Free State to be set up. The 1922 Irish Free State Constitution, the oath was to the King and his heirs, and we'll talk about our oath as we move forward. That was 1922. The Anglo-Irish Treaty fully implemented on the 6th of December 1922. This is when the people gave ourselves 1937, bunreaćt era, and it can be interpreted in the Blue Book as the Constitution of Ireland, but it's the Irish Constitution. Era, the whole island, sovereign, independent, democratic state, was acknowledged and recognised around the world. That's what it is. 1939, we spoke about the famous First Amendment. It allowed for emergency wartime measures when era was not even at war. No referendum. 1941, the Second Amendment. Various changes, including changes to the official Irish text and to bring it into line with the English text. No referendum. 1942, bunreaćt, published copy with the Irish text altered without referendum. 1948, the Republic of Ireland Act fully incorporated the Dark Blue Book. 1949, Ireland Act, UK recognises 26 county, era without a fada, Republic of Ireland, all caps. 1973, we joined Ireland, all caps, joined the European Community. Think of the word community. UK and Republic of Ireland joined the European Community like the exact same day. Years before that, they didn't allow us in, but we went in as two dominions with the UK. 1998, the Good Friday Agreement the thing the political wings are pushing on us now. We went into an agreement, we agreed it, we've got peace, and now we need to go forward from there. The Good Friday Agreement was where they changed us to Article 2 and 3, but only in the Blue Book.
Oh, Gable, okay. Sorry.
No, that was 2020 Brexit. The UK leaves the EU, taking Ireland with them. Okay, question mark over that. But on paper they did. They took them with them. You remember the big hullabaloo over here? You couldn't elect the government, and then they couldn't put themselves together, and then they moved out. But the very first speech that Micheál Martin made, when he had the Green and all behind him, when he came in, he said he's proud to be on Taoiseach of the Irish Republic. And then COVID came and he moved out of Leinster House and into the convention centre. 2022, we'll go through a bit of that as well as we're going through this. 2022, the Anglo-Irish Treaty expired, the 99-year lease. It's up on the 6th of December this year. Okay, so even though we got the Constitution, there was provisions in it for them to print another book and operate commerce, and we all just went with it. We probably weren't ready at that stage to do our own commerce. I don't know what it is, but we were signing into this lease and it's over this year, hence why they're looking for constitutional change. Move on, Tom. That was just the timeline of that one. Here's a comparison of the two constitutions. 1937 to the 1942 era, with the beautiful text and the most important fodder. Era without the fodder, because the UK were the only country around the world, and still to this day, never recognised era with a fodder. Yeah, it's on our coinage, it's in Europe, it's everywhere. Republic of Ireland against Irish Republic, Republic of Ireland, all caps. Irish government, Government of Ireland, Dáil Éireann, Dáil, sovereign state, dominion state, Irish national, you're a beneficiary, citizen, you're a subject, and a trustee. Big things people need to learn: beneficiary, trustee. Clow Gaelic, Roman font, and we spoke earlier about Roman civil procedure. Irish law, Roman civil procedure, the text and grammar and characters of what's written on the page. 63 articles, 50 articles. We'll go on now later on in the slides and show how these 63 articles still hold the full force of law. Their national flag, Kingdom of Ireland. I won't read that slide over there, but it's basically a sovereign government, non-incorporated nation against a foreign incorporated government. I want to really bring importance to Roman civil procedure and the importance of I'm going to play this little clip here of the court case.
I'm going to move on because this is very important for people, indigenous people born into their territory of Europe, who the rules of Roman civil procedure apply to all. Rory Bryan, Irish national, native in the territory era, who is present here today.
Laws that apply to you, to me, and every person in this state.
Answer the question.
I am answering it. That it is derived from the Irish Constitution and statute.
Well then, that clarifies. This has no jurisdiction or fact.
I disagree.
I'm going to ask you one more time to answer the question. Do the rules of Roman civil procedure apply to all Rory Bryan, Irish national, native in the territory of the sovereign seal over your head era, who is present here today? Do the rules of Roman civil procedure apply to all? Do the rules of Roman civil procedure apply to all?
The only rules that apply in this court are the Constitution, statute of this and they apply to every single person in the
Okay, sure. I'm going to raise this thing in my hand here. There is no constitutional fact within this. Is that true?
There are the contracts made pursuant to statute which are
Do the rules of Roman civil procedure apply to I haven't had an answer yet.
Yes, it can.
I want an answer to this in law. Do the rules of Roman civil procedure apply to where are you going? Irish national, native in the territory of Ireland.
If they are in accordance with the Constitution of Ireland and the Statutes of Ireland,
Roman civil procedure is not in accordance
and they don't.
with the Irish law, or they don't apply. Where me and one of us. Inside a court of law.
I remind people in this court, this is the solemn court of Ireland, and you will not applaud again.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we have no more. We've established the facts. Does any man or woman under God want to step outside facts again and commit treason against Irish men and women within this court here today? Ignorance.
So basically what I've been going through in the slides earlier on, and we're trying to explain to people all around the importance of that question, was proven in the court that they don't apply. And it took a lot of work, and you could hear her talking with persons and Constitution of Ireland and trying to twist and show
Rory,
and whatever.
What was the last thing she said to you? The very last thing she said to you? Couldn't quite hear her. What did she say to you?
She said if they're not in accordance
Yeah.
with the provisions of the Constitution, well then no.
And then what did she say after that? She said something like that, didn't she?
She said this is a solemn court of era. At the end, that's what she said, yeah. Well, that's when the people were clapping and stuff, and she asked me to be quiet, and I said thanks first.
Right, just 2 seconds, sorry. Just keep things rolling. And as chairman, there's going to be questions after the presentation, and we'll just, everybody have their chance to ask questions. Because if we start asking questions through the presentation,
Yeah, but some people are clapping there, and they're not clapping for, you know?
I know.
Couldn't hear you.
Just to be
Fair enough, yeah. No, we did point it, yeah. No, but fair enough. It was a question we can hear it again. But the importance, and we all clap and we all laugh and we all go home, but we need to understand this. The importance of what is written on a piece of paper against Irish nationals that we can say no to. Do you know what I mean? If the government want to send you 500 quid for a Christmas bonus on the dole, take the fucking thing as a beneficiary, step in and the benefit, yeah, I'll have a bit of that. But if you want to fine you 500 quid for walking outside 5k, you don't have to accept it. So as a beneficiary, as an Irish national, you now can either contract or not contract. And it's the rules of Roman civil procedure, it's the text and grammar that's written on a page. So it's, as we said about our Irish language, it's Roman font that people are being taught and indoctrinated in schools. And ours is Gaelic, and that's what we need to prove, and this is what that does. So we'll move on from there, and thank you for these. All understand, be happy to move on from here.
Yes.
Everybody, yeah? Let's go.
I'm going to move on.
We're going to move on. No more nonsense. Follow the money. On bunreaćt 1937, the law of the land applies. Irish nationals benefit from the country's resources. 1942 Blue Book, the Crown Establishment, Admiralty Maritime Law, wet contract law requiring signatures. Big Mr. fucking whatever you Mrs. whatever you want to be. Irish airspace and harbours are owned by the UK, and we pay rent to the UK to use them. Civil courts, court fines, statutes, acts, legislation, fines, all go to the Crown. Believe it or not. The government of Ireland borrows money from the international banks and uses taxes to repay debt. That's why we're paying taxes. You think you're buying roads and stuff, you're not. You're paying for government. They borrow money, put it out there, and you pay it back. We sell our resources, oil, gas, oak, forest, fishing rights, gold, mountains, and get nothing for it. We get nothing. Only bills.
Worse than I thought.
So we talked about the treaty, and here's the, probably Mark will probably agree with this, the most important two articles in the treaty to prove that it's up. and it was a contract article for agreement for a treaty, so I'll read it. Why not? Article 2 of the Constitution of the Irish Free State, Saoirse Act 1922. The said Constitution shall be construed with reference to the Articles of Agreement for a treaty between Great Britain and Ireland, set forth in the second schedule hereto annexed, hereafter referred to as the Scheduled Treaty, which are hereby given the force of law, and if the provisions of the said Constitution or any amendment thereof or of any law made thereunder is in any respect repugnant to any of the provisions of the Scheduled Treaty, it shall, to the extent only of such repugnancy, be absolutely void and imperative, and the Parliament of the Executive Council of the Irish Free State, Saoirse shall respectfully pass such legislation and do so other things as may be necessary to implement the Scheduled Treaty. That was Article 2 of them pushing the treaty on the people. Here it is, Article 11. All the laws and waters, mines and minerals within the territory of the Irish Free State, Saoirse hereto vested in the state or any department thereof, are held for public use benefit, and also the natural resources of the same territory, including the air and all the forms of potential energy, and also that all royalties and franchises within the territory shall, from and after that date of coming into operation of this treaty constitution, belong to the Irish Free State, Saoirse subject to any trust, grants, lease, or concessions then existing in respect thereof, or any valid private interest therein, and shall be controlled and administered by the Oireachtas in accordance with such regulations and provisions, and shall be from time to time approved by legislation. But the same shall not, and shall any part thereof, be alienated, but may be public interest be from time to time granted by law or lease of licences to be worked or enjoyed under the authority of subject to the control of the Oireachtas, provided that no such lease licence may be made for a term exceeding 99 years. We have that highlighted there because that was the contract that they were writing. So we've been contracted into that by legislation, and there has been no way out of it. This is our way out of it when we move on and we explain why on Bunreaćt is our way out of it, because that's where we are now. Beginning from the date thereof, and such lease or licence may be renewable by term thereof. No such lease. So that's it. That's the treaty. That's it. In fact, I have an original copy of it. It's with Ralph at the moment, and it's in there. And we're not making any of this up. Every document, every piece of paper is there, and this is where we are now. Thanks, Tom. Here we talk about celebrating the end of the 99-year treaty in Cork. I know it was Michael Collins' anniversary, but it was to celebrate the treaty. And we look at the colours. I suppose I look at the colours. We look at the colours. We're all looking at the colours. I'm sure you are. You know, I was Mr. Green Suit man, and the guy over there was telling me, what's the green suit, the tweed suit?
James.
James, sorry.
Yeah, you're alright. Yes, well, I was looking into the language that you do yourself, and I was looking into the Clone Gaelic, and Clomore is actually the name of the green tweed that you wear.
There you go. There you go. So we learn something every year. You know, I always talk about my mother's father, who James Joseph Ring. He served in the War of Independence. And only talking to my mother's brother last week at her anniversary, or 2 year, he was telling me that his father, my grandfather, was fluent at Clone Gaelic and wrote it and spoke it and stuff, and it's so lost and it's not that far away. But look at even the background of the crowd there, it's mostly blue. You see the flag hanging half posts, and then in here you see these police, they're holding that Government of Ireland, that's what they're holding, the blue with the gold flag. The lads are wearing the blue suits. That's not as in everything is blue to show power as well. Blue is a powerful colour. You know, it's for importance, but the Crown use it. You see all the members of Garda Síochána and government signing it. So it's not us. So anyway, we're going to move on to Michael D. Higgins, because he didn't attend the Northern Ireland centenary, the 100 years of partition. He wouldn't be a president only for the Constitution. There wasn't a president, an Irish president was only really recognised through the Constitution. That's because he became the protector and holder of the Constitution. So he is not part of the treaty and never was. He did work as Viceroy, but he's actually the President of Ireland, the Irish President, and he only exists because of the Constitution. So we're going to play this little clip, and we'll go through, this is some of the stuff that we talk about that he's been saying, and he is a poet, and he's a very, very intelligent man, and he's given us some messages, and he's probably, in my opinion, he's our biggest hope. So he's the one we thought we're going after, so we listen to him and I'll shut up for a minute.
Because, let's say, it isn't a neutral statement politically. What you do is that you take out all the facts and you get the things that we don't dispute, and then you have all of the interpretations, and then you can do the rhetorical flourishes in it. And let's be clear as well that in relation to when we're coming to other things, that's why doing commemorations is difficult, because let's say, for example, the Good Friday Agreement we all want to work. But the treaty, for example, that will arise on the next phase of what we're doing is very different to the Good Friday Agreement. The Good Friday Agreement, you enter it with negotiations, you come out of it with agreement, you make commitments, it's a so on and so forth. In the other one, you have to look at all the context of how free people were, to who they were concerned, and you have to deal with, whether you like it or not, the issue of coercion. So that's why, but may I express my gratitude for the people in Ireland who have been saying that they understand and that I was taking a complex decision, that they had trust in me. I think that they should be recalled in their factual setting as much as possible. I think that they should be recalled in their factual setting as much as possible. I think that they should be recalled in their factual setting as much as possible.
But look, we need to look at colours, words, what the meaning of it is. Why wasn't he in attendance in Ballinaclough, is that right? Why he wasn't there? Why he wasn't attending the petition? Because he doesn't recognise that state that we've been indoctrinated into. And he's calling out for it, and we hope to be in contact with him because he's very important. He's wearing the tweed, and he wears this particular clothes, and he behind things. And I mentioned Micheál Martin when he first proudly announced himself as on Taoiseach for the Irish Republic during COVID. That's what they were while the Brexit gig was going on, and then they moved back into Leinster House under wartime measures because of the Ukraine fraud. So we'll move on from that slide because he is the most important man at the moment, and these other dickheads are working for the crown and are pushing this. Is there something we're stuck on before I move on? Great. So we'll move on to the overview of some of the key articles of Unlock 1937, and these are the ones that we feel can unlock the key or give the people the divine messages of. If they're trying to say to you, here's a new constitution you want to vote on, should you not at least know what the one you have is already first, before you make a decision? And this is what we're trying to say to people. Preamble, we spoke about the oath under the King in the Free State Treaty. So we'll talk about the preamble in here. People talk about Jesus Christ, Christian, Catholic. That's where we were at the time. The majority of people on the island were Catholics, but we were Christians, and our oath is the Lord God. In the name of the Most Holy Trinity, which is the wellspring for the authority, and to whom, since is the final end for us, not alone actions of people, but actions of state are directed. So both people and state are equal. All men and state must and will be referred. As we, the people of Era are humbly admitting the extent to which we are obliged to Jesus Christ. Okay, we're obliged to him because he showed us where God was. That's about it. Our Lord God, who confronted our ancestors in every hardship in which they were for hundreds of years. And as we gratefully remember how bravely they fought, seasonally, is that right? Seasonally, to active the independence which is the intrinsic right of our nation. And as we are setting out to advance the public good with wisdom and integrity and charity as is appropriate, so that we can ensure his nobility and his freedom to every individual, to establish a proper social life, to give the restoration of her unity, which is Era. When you say he, they're talking about God. When that turns into her, we're talking about Era. To our country, and to make mutual alliance with other nations. We are hereby adopting this constitution and enacting it and dedicating it to ourselves. It was a people's constitution. The oath changed from the king and its heirs to under God. Now, it's regardless of what belief you have.
Yeah.
Why would you prefer an oath to a monarch than under God?
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, I don't care if you believe in God or you want to be whatever you want to be, it's still better.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It still has to be fucking better. The nation, and I talk about Article 1, and I'll keep saying it and saying it and saying it. As an Irish national, I'm the nation. We're the people, are the nation. You're a national. Everything else, it doesn't matter. Article 1, the nation of Era hereby affirms its inalienable, invisible, sovereign right. Now I'm going to stop there because we always read on to establish whatever type of government. We're just affirming our inalienable, invincible rights to do whatever we want, but we're using our inalienable, invincible rights here to establish what type of government. And we're talking inalienable rights. It's massive. As an Irish national, you have inalienable, unalienable, inalienable, invincible rights to establish whatever type of government they themselves choose, that's us, to determine their relationships with other nations and promote their political and economic and learned life in accordance with the natural bent and practices of their ancestors. So I'm going to highlight, and just before we move on, I want you to understand inalienable rights as an Irish national. Unalienable means they can't put a lien on you, a government civil procedure, because you're an Irish national. It has to be in Gaelic. It's very, very important, and it's also mentioned in Article 41, and we'll move on when we get to there. Here is your unalienable rights. Can anybody see that at the front there? You can see it, yeah? Does anybody want to read out one or two of them? Why not? Ian?
The right to life, freedom, health, and the pursuit of happiness.
Damien?
The right to contract or not to contract, which is unlimited.
The right to earn a living by being compensated with wages, salary, or any trade goods in fair exchange for one's work.
The right to travel in the ordinary course of one's life and business.
Dennis?
The right to privacy and confidentiality, free from unwarranted invasion.
Paul?
The right to control and hold one's property lawfully and without trespass.
Sean?
The right to self-defence when threatened with harm.
Loss.
Or disease.
Don't worry, Paul, I don't miss it. Size in. Tom?
The right to due process of law with notice and opportunity to defend.
Anybody else? Give me this last one here.
The right to be presumed innocent, suffering no detention or arrest, no search or seizure without reasonable cause.
That's the one. We're going to move over here now and have a few people. Let me see, get out of the way. Please go. Give me a read.
The right to remain silent when choose to avoid self-incrimination.
The right to equality in the eyes and the law of the law and to equal
Representation. It's okay. Ashley.
The right to trial by jury being an impartial panel of one's peers.
The right to appeal in law against conviction or sentence, or both.
The right to expose knowledge necessary to one's rights and freedoms.
Polly.
The right to peaceful association, assembly, expression and protest.
You want to go to the back, Darren?
Right. The right to practice a religion and to have the beliefs of one's choosing.
Next.
Is it the right to love and to consensual marriage with children as a family?
Why not?
The right to security.
Yeah. From abuse.
Persecution, tyranny and war.
The right to refuse to kill under command by reason of conscience.
Yes. Next, last one. The right to live in peace and be left alone when law abides. So, which of these rights did you concede to in the past few years? Have a look at them.
Everyone, I suppose the bottom one is the most one, isn't it? The right to live in peace and be left alone and law abiding.
This is what we've done. This is what we're all guilty of. But Article 1, inalienable rights, as an Irish national, this is it. This is your unalienable rights. So this is what we can take back. Okay, are we happy to move on?
Yeah.
Thanks for reading that. Can you give me a break? Thanks. So we're all happy to move on. It has a question mark, but I don't really want to get into questions. So Article 1, us, you, Irish national, the nation, the people. Article 2 just shows you where you are. The island of Era, entirely, along with its islands and its borders and seas, is the national territory. It's simple, you know. If you learned it in first class or first babies in school rather than sending them where you go, you know where you are at least, wouldn't you? People don't even know this. You want to be politicians and you don't even know where they are. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Article 3. This is where I believe this constitution was given for now. Really and truly, I'm not standing here trying to sell you something I genuinely believe that this constitution was written and given by the people behind it knew they weren't getting it then because of the treaty. But when the treaty's up, it's an opportunity for now. Until the national territories are made complete again. Now this is the government's own official interpretation. Until the national territories are made complete again, and without prejudice to the right of the Parliament and the government that is established by this Constitution to operate jurisdictions in all national territories. The laws that will be enacted by the Parliament will apply to the same area as the laws of the Irish Free State apply to. And they will have the same effect outside of that area as the laws of the Irish Free State had. So they knew the Free State was there, but they knew that someday the reunification of the nation was going to happen. And you know, we spoke about religion and we spoke about loyalists and Protestants, and it's happening. You see Catholics going, oh, never going to unite Ireland, and Protestants going, we're not going to allow it. Whether you like it or not, the plan is it's going to happen. But what kind of united Ireland? Or do we want your constitution, which is ERA? There's no other option, in my opinion, and this is our chance. And this is why we need bunreaćt brought to the people, to some understanding of it, because it's a reunification of the nation again, and how it's going to go, and what rules. Thanks, Tom. Article 2, we just showed a map of it here. No borders. That's the island. This is Article 2. It's actually on your passport. It's inside your passport, and it reads, it is the entitlement and birthright of every person born in the island of Ireland, which includes its islands and seas, to be part of the Irish nation. So even though you're a person you might want to go to work during the day, or you might want to take that 500 quid check at the dole, or you might want to sign your dole for a few minutes and be that person. You still have the right then to be an Irish national, so you need to work what you